We've been told that the Earth spins 365 days around the sun, but every ancient civilization measured the heavens using 360 degrees, not 365. And that ain't a mistake. The Babylonians, Egyptians, and Mayans all used the same cosmic map, the same 360-degree circle that makes up your clock, your compass, and your zodiac. So who changed it? And why does the modern globe break the harmony of the original wheel of time? Before globes, space agencies, and the Freemasonic control over the perception of our reality, humanity looked to the stars for truth, not to systems built to deceive. Ancient astronomers already had the entire sky mapped, not in 365 days, but in 360 perfect degrees. The Babylonians called it divine order, a circle that ruled both time and the heavens. But today, science tells us that the Earth spins through an uneven 365-day orbit. But what if the ancients were right and modern science broke the original code of creation? In this video, we'll decode how the Babylonian 360 system aligns with the Zodiac Wheel, time, and geometry itself, and why the truth about our universe might have been hidden in plain sight. Everything we know about time, hours, minutes, seasons comes from a single circle, 360 degrees, a design so perfect that even modern science can't improve on it. But somewhere in history, we replaced the ancient wheel of 360 with a 365-day globe, and the balance between heaven and earth was lost, and one zodiac wheel was shared by all nations. That was true then, and it's still true even today. Now, modern astronomy says that we spin through space, but by the end of this video, you will have received so much profound ancestral knowledge that you will be able to make this decision with full confidence. So let's get right into it. There are some basic numbers and math that we need to establish first. And it may seem like I'm just throwing data at y'all, but trust me, this will all matter later. A sphere does not have a total number of degrees in the same way a circle does. Instead, it has 360 degrees around its equator and poles. And the concept of a solid angle is used to measure the full three-dimensional space it occupies. The solid angle of a complete sphere is 4 pi steradians, which can be converted to 41,253 square degrees approximately. When we talk about circular degrees, a sphere has 360 degrees of longitude, just like a circle that run around its equator. It also has 180 degrees of latitude from pole to pole, although this is not a single rotation. So just to be clear, the entire celestial sphere of Earth's surface in angular measure is 41,253 square degrees, according to the globe model. The flat circle, its area is measured in planar square degrees. But here, the degree doesn't mean the same thing as on a sphere. It's an angular division around the North Pole or the center of the circle. If we define the AE map as a 360-degree circle, the area would be proportional to A equals pi r squared. That's the formula for the area of a circle. And if you want to express that area in square degrees, you can simply think of the radius as 180 degrees, or half of the 360 degrees around the circle. That gives A equals pi times 180 square, which equals to 101,787 square degrees. Now, the reason that we're establishing the basic math and the numbers is so that we can now break it down step by step to show which model aligns with the Zodiac Wheel and direct human experience. Now, the most consistent cosmological layout in the ancient world displayed Earth as a circle covered by the firmament dome, with the sun, moon, and stars moving in circular paths above the plane. So from the start, their map of the world was a 360-degree circle, not a sphere. The Zodiac Wheel is a 360-degree circle. The ancients divided the ecliptic into 12 signs, which were each 30 degrees, and this equals out to a total of 360 degrees. That's exactly the same geometry as a circle, not a sphere. On a globe, the 360 degrees are divided across latitude and longitude, but the Zodiac Wheel represents the sun's circular path above the Earth, not around a spherical body. A two-dimensional ecliptic circle is a two-dimensional representation of the ecliptic plane, which is the flat circular path that Earth's orbit takes around the sun. On this circle, the sun is at the center and the Earth is shown moving along the circle's edge over the course of a year. This 2D model is a way to visualize the sun's apparent annual movement against the background stars and is used to illustrate concepts like the zodiac and seasonal changes on the globe model. The reason why 101,787 square degrees is more accurate based upon direct human experience, it's because it's the area of a perfect circle divided into 360 degrees of angular rotation, just like the zodiac and the time wheel, 24 hours, 12 months, 360 days. The Babylonians used the base 60 sexagesimal system, the same system that produces 360 degrees in a circle, 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 seconds in a minute, and 12 zodiacal divisions, each equaling to 30 degrees. This cosmology and mathematics only work on a circular flat plane, not a sphere. So the 101,787 square degree model, or the 360 degree circular model, is the one that matches the direct human experience and the zodiac wheel, both geometrically and philosophically. The ancients saw the heavens as a divine clock, a celestial wheel rotating above the circle of the earth. And this worldview was rooted in circular angular geometry. Babylonian astrology is acknowledged as the first known organized system of astrology arising in the second millennium BC. Their astronomy and astrology included star catalogs, ephemerides, and omen texts showing the movements of the sun, moon, and the planets. The concept of dividing up the ecliptic into 12 equal parts with 12 signs that are 30 degrees each, summing to 360 degrees, was developed by the ancient Babylonians. Most ancient systems acknowledged a divine intelligent source behind creation. But the Greeks, the Freemasons, the Ptolemies, and others who came later rejected that idea and built the framework that became the foundation of modern scientific explanations of reality. And to help perpetuate this distorted interpretation of reality and to hide the ancient truth of the perfect 360, they had to alter the number just enough so that it no longer reflected the beautiful, flawless 360 of life that loudly testifies to intelligent design. These ancient 360 systems laid the groundwork for Hellenistic, Greek, Indian, Islamic, and even Western astrology. All subsequent varieties depend upon Babylonian astronomy in decisive and fundamental ways. The ancient Babylonian zodiac signs became the basis for the Western zodiac signs. And some of the Babylonian zodiac signs were later incorporated into the Western zodiac. Also, the system of dividing a sign into further microparts like the Dodecada Moria originate from the ancient Babylonian system as well. And on the topic of observational or astronomical basis of the Babylonian system, the Babylonians, the Dogon, the Mayan, and many ancient 360 cultures made observational recordings, lunar/planetary motion tables, and they used sexagesimal base 60 mathematics. There are some modern predictions and practices that derive from these ancient systems. And here are some of those key modern astrological practices. Horoscopes, and the fact that our horoscopes are based upon our date and time of birth. The idea that the positions of the sun, the moon, or the planets at the time of birth influence personality and destiny stems from astrological traditions descending from Babylonian practice. The fact that we have 12 zodiac signs on our zodiac wheel, and we divide the zodiac wheel basically into 12 signs with each sign covering 30 degrees, we get this directly from these ancient systems like the Babylonian. 12 months, with each one of the 12 months being assigned to one of the 12 zodiac signs, comes from this ancient system. Modern astrology still assigns each month their own sign. That scheme owes its roots to the Babylonian calendar division / solar zodiac. The Babylonians used planetary positions and stellar phenomena like eclipses, conjunctions. They used these to interpret terrestrial events. For example, political events, weather events, and etc. Modern astrology uses planetary aspects, conjunctions, oppositions to predict or interpret life events. And we know that the ancients, the Babylonians, the Mayans, plenty of these cultures using this 360 system made more accurate predictions than we ever could make. They were literally prophetic, which gives a lot of validity to the idea that events are linked to the alignments of the sun, moon, and the stars, which is the foundation of astrology. And if you want to know how much the ancient Babylonians influenced how we interpret the heavens in modern time, many zodiac signs have Babylonian antecedents. Modern astrology often references degrees in a sign, minutes of arc, ascendant degrees, and etc. The Babylonian micro-zodiac scheme anticipates this fine subdivision. People, don't you understand that to this day, we still use degrees for everything? And when you deal with a sphere, you would not use degrees. Degrees are only applicable to a circle, and we'll talk about that more later. Modern astrology and astronomy uses ephemerides, which comes from Babylonian astronomers / astrologers who had ephemerides to predict planetary / stellar positions. We have not changed anything. All of those old flat earth systems, we still use them today to navigate, to make predictions. The Babylonian system was based upon a circle, of course, which is 360 degrees, which equals 360 days. Simple. And how it worked, like we mentioned previously, the Babylonians used a base 60 sexagesimal number system, and they divided the circle into 360 equal degrees, the year into 360 days, the sky into 12 signs, which all equal 30 degrees each, and each sign into 30 days. This created a perfect geometric harmony, which means that we had a 360-degree circle, which equals out to 360 days, which equals out to 12 months by 30 days each. And each day would be a degree, because each of these 12 signs is 30 degrees each. So if you think of each constellation in the sky that makes up the zodiac, on the ground, each one of those 12 zodiacs would take up 2 time zones on an AE map, because there are 24 time zones. So basically, each zodiac sign represents 30 degrees of the circle each. Each one is 30 degrees of that circle. And so each time zone would be 15 degrees all the way around that circle till we get a perfect 360. That's exactly how we keep time, guys. This is all based upon the ancient flat earth 360 system. If you stray from this system, you're gonna need leap year to make up for you having everything off, because that ain't how the sky work, and even the weather patterns and the seasons will eventually be off. According to the ancients, the heavens, the zodiac, were a divine clock. The sun's full rotation through the zodiac equals 1 complete circle of time, or 1 year. Every day, the sun moves 1 degree along the circle, completing 360 degrees in 1 full year. This created a 1-to-1 ratio between degrees and days. So perfect that it wouldn't even make sense to change this. And we didn't change it. We still use the 360-degree system to navigate, to make predictions, and all of the mechanical, real life stuff that we do it off of the 360 system. But when it comes down to theories and basically astrotheology or orbital mechanics, which is the explanations and bull crap mumbo jumbo that they have to spew in order to make the 365 days make sense. Even though if it made sense, we would use that system for our navigation and timekeeping, which we don't. We use the ancient one. We just went over the ancient system and how perfect it is. Now let's talk about the modern globe model, which is approximately 365.24 days. How it works is modern astronomy measures the Earth's orbit around the sun as 365.22 days, which this is all just theoretical and based upon orbital mechanics. But how it works is that orbital mechanics is a field of mechanics that was created just to explain the way things move in space, but it's all based upon things that can't be proven. When it comes to measuring the Earth, people, the only thing that you can use to do this is geometry. Now, the word geo comes from the word Gaia or Gaia, which is the name of the Earth. Geo, geo. And the word metry is the word measure. So the ancient 360-degree system is literally based upon geometry, which is the measuring of the Earth. And the modern 365-day system is based upon orbital mechanics, which is you looking at CGI animations to explain a hypothetical system that we don't live in. It don't exist out there in the real world. Everything we do out there is based upon the ancient 360 system. In orbital mechanics, the circle is still defined as 360 degrees, but now the sun moves 0.9856 degrees per day instead of 1 degree. Now, 360 degrees divided by 365.24 equals 0.9856 degrees per day. That means on a globe model, the sun takes 365.24 days to move in a 360 degree complete circle. the motion doesn't divide evenly in the globe model. And of course, when it comes to the 360-degree model, 360 degrees divided by 360 days would give you 1 degree per day. Perfect. In this model, the motion actually divides evenly. Now, here are the key differences between the two. With the ancient 360 cosmology, it is based upon geometry. It is actually based upon mathematics, base 60 math to be exact. So this is base 60 circular time. We all have clocks and we see that we get 12 hours AM, 12 hours PM, giving you 24. With the modern globe model, it is based upon orbital mechanics, not geometry. It is not measuring the Earth. And it is based upon base 10 math. The year length on the ancient model is 360 days, which would be 12 months, with each month having 30 days each. And the year length on the globe model, of course, would be 365.24 days. You would also need leap year to account for the inaccuracy in this model. The key difference between the circle division when it comes to both of the two. With the ancient 360-degree model, 1 degree equals 1 day. Simple. But in the globe model, they still use 360 degrees, but in their model, 1 degree equals 0.9856 days. So in the ancient model, the sun completes 1 perfect circle per year. And in the globular model, the Earth completes 1 elliptical orbit per year. The Earth isn't doing a perfect circle, it's doing an elliptical orbit, but these cucks, for some reason, still using 360 degrees. That doesn't represent their model. So when it comes to the key difference between the zodiac motion, in the ancient model, the sun advances exactly 1 degree per day through the zodiac. And on the globe model, the sun's apparent motion is irregular due to an elliptical orbital pattern. The sun's apparent motion would appear irregular on this model, but in reality, it doesn't. Let's talk about calendar drift. On the ancient model, there is no calendar drift. We're talking about the most accurate timekeeping systems known to man. So accurate, we still use them today, which explains why they still use 360 degrees. They still treat the Earth as if it's flat. Everything we treat as if the ancestors was right, but we just deny it because none of these things would be able to work if this stuff wasn't right. So in the ancient model, it's so perfect, so beautiful, you don't get no calendar drift. But on the globe model, because it's off and it's inaccurate, you get calendar drift. And because of that calendar drift, we have to account for it with a leap year correction every 4 years. Now, why do we have a leap year? It's simply because a bunch of evil people want to hide the perfection and the ancient 360-degree concept that literally governs time. If we had 12 months that had 30 days each in each month, the year would be a perfect 360 days, and you would see in 360 days that the sun will make a perfect circle, not an elliptical orbit. If our years were that way, you wouldn't have leap year, you wouldn't need it. Everything will line up just right. The Mayans didn't have leap year. The Vedic didn't have leap year. Guess who created the Zodiac Wheel that we still use today? The Mayan, the Vedic, the Babylonian. Guess how many degrees that Zodiac Wheel is? 360, not 365. It's 1 degree per day. This is a perfect system that we literally experience outside. They had to get rid of this system because it just points to intelligent design. There's no way you can argue that this place isn't intelligently designed by something higher than us once you realize the perfect math involved in everything. So the philosophical differences between these two: time is dictated by geometry and by the heavens above us making a perfect circle. This is basically the foundation of how time is created on the ancient model versus the modern globe model. Time is created by orbits and things orbiting and floating through space and physical distance. Whereas on the ancient model, you could sum it up by saying we lived inside of a well-crafted timepiece. The earth is basically a huge clock, and the sky is turning above us, telling us what time it is. We literally treat the sky as a clock before we had clocks. And this entire system is based upon geometry and the circuit of the celestial wheel. So based on geometry, which model makes more sense? Based on geometry. And that's important when we say based on geometry, because what is geometry? It is the measuring of the earth. One model is based upon spherical geometry, and one model is based upon circular geometry. The reason this is very important is because everything we do in our reality is based upon circular geometry. We use degrees to get around for grid point coordinates because the earth is a flat circle. Degrees are for a circle. A degree won't be the same in spherical geometry as it is in circular geometry, is what I mean. That this thing called a degree would have a different meaning as we shift models, which is why they don't even really use degrees when they deal with the sphere. They use steradians. That's more appropriate for a sphere versus a circle. But the kicker is that everything we do in our world, we use degrees. When it comes to reading maps, when it comes to shooting an azimuth with a compass, when it comes to the compass period, is all based upon degrees, which is proof that the ancient model was correct. If the modern global model was correct, why wouldn't we treat our reality as such? And if the ancient model was incorrect, why would we use this same system to navigate and everything, and there won't be any problems or issues? Which one makes more sense based upon geometry? We got circular geometry versus spherical geometry. From a pure geometric standpoint, the ancient 360-day model makes more sense because a circle has 360 degrees, not 365 degrees. And the ancient time system and their sky system matched perfectly. One revolution equals 360 days, which equals 360 degrees. A perfect 1-to-1 ratio, which aligns everything in synchronicity. So in the ancient model, every day corresponded to a single degree of movement, a 1-to-1 cosmic ratio. The base 60 system produced elegant divisions: 60 minutes, 60 seconds, 6 times 60 equals 360. So think about how accurate a year would break down. So by contrast, the modern globe system breaks all of that harmony. The sun doesn't move a clean degree per day. The year doesn't divide evenly into 12 months or 30-day cycles. It introduces irregular leap years, uneven months, and fractional day corrections. So the ancient 360 system is not only the correct one that we observe with human experience and that we can prove when we study the heavens, but on a deeper meaning, it represents order, divine perfection, and sacred geometry. It represents the zodiac, or the divine wheel of time, literally giving us perfect 360-degree cycles. which is what we see with the Mayan timekeeping systems and everyone else's. The reason it's a wheel is because it's literally 360 degrees. So why do we call it a zodiac wheel if it's not created to produce perfect cycles, not irregular ones? When we talk about the sun moving 1 degree per day, don't you know that this math is embedded in Freemasonry? It represents the sun's spiritual journey through the heavens. When you talk about 365 days, what we see on the globe model, that is a later physical interpretation of motion, and it ain't got nothing to do with geometry, which is the actual measuring of the earth. And if you don't have that right, then everything else gonna be wrong and off, and that's what we see. If you think that the earth is rotating and moving, you're gonna be accounting for something that's not there, which gonna make your whole problem off. And what'll happen is your entire science, when it comes to this topic, would be just a bunch of explanations and theories to try to interpret the motion that you're assuming is coming from the earth. So in conclusion, the Babylonian 360-day year aligns perfectly with the geometry of a 360-degree circle and a zodiac wheel. The modern 365.24-day globe year breaks that geometric harmony, replacing divine geometry with orbital mechanics. So when we use pure geometry and judge by the mathematical symmetry and cosmological symbolism of a circle, the ancient 360 model is the more coherent and more perfect system. Which system is more applicable for 24 hours in a day? So let's break it down step by step. How 24-hour time fits in the ancient 360 system versus the modern 365.25-day globe system. 1 day is 360 degrees of the sun's motion above Earth. This is on the ancient model. And the math relationship to this is 360 divided by 24 equals 15 degrees per hour. If you look at a flat Earth AE map, you have 24 time zones. The sun spins 1 degree in each time zone, giving us 24 hours a day. It's making a perfect circle. Now remember, each of these 24 time zones represents 15 degrees of the circle. So 15 times 24 will give you 360. So to sum it all up, basically 1 hour is 15 degrees of arc. And the math relationship to that is 60 minutes equals 1 out of 24 of a rotation. And of course, 1 minute is 1 out of 60 minutes of an hour. And 15 degrees divided by 60 gives us 0.25 degrees per minute. So each day, 360 degrees rotation of the sun over the AE circle is basically 24 hours times 15 degrees per hour, equaling out to a total of 360 degrees. That's perfect harmony between time and geometry. Now with the globular model and the 365.24-day globe system and how that relates to 24 hours, in the heliocentric model, Earth rotates on its axis once every 24 hours, creating day and night. However, this is based on sidereal and solar time, not directly on 360-degree geometry. So one rotation doesn't perfectly equal 360 degrees relative to the sun. It's actually 361 degrees relative to the stars to compensate for Earth's orbit. So because of this imperfection, we get leap years, fractional seconds, and etc. This means in the globe system, 24 hours does not equal a perfect 360 degrees of the sun's daily path. It's 360 plus a fraction. an imperfect geometric relationship. On the ancient model, the minutes make sense, the hour makes sense, the day count makes sense, the month count, the degrees all line up perfectly. So why do the 24-hour day fit the ancient system better? Let's sum it up. 24 hours divide 360 degrees evenly into 15 degree per hour. Each hour divides evenly into 60 minutes, which is 0.25 degrees per minute. Each minute divides evenly into 60 seconds, which is 0.004166 degrees per second. You don't get no remainders in none of this, y'all. So the whole system runs on base 60, which is invented by the ancients. In other words, the 24-hour clock, the 60 minutes, the 60 seconds, and the idea of measuring the sun's daily arc in degrees all come directly from the ancient 360 geometric time system, not from the globe model, which came later in Egypt under the Ptolemies and Freemasons. Now, the zodiac is 360 degrees, and the Babylonians in particularly called it the wheel of time, or divine motion of the heavens. The 24 hours in our day was called the 24 elders, which represented the divisions of the heavenly day. So in a lot of cultures, you may see the number 24 pop up, but in Babylon, what they call the 24 elders is basically another way of talking about the 24 hours in a day. But 12 times 2, when you look at the 12 zodiac signs, each sign got a day and a night half. So we got 12 zodiac signs, but there's 24 hours in a day. And the ancients mapped the 24-hour day onto the 12-sign Zodiac Wheel using day and night as complementary halves. So for a simple breakdown, it's 12 zodiac signs, but each sign has 2 phases. Day half, which is light, and night half, which is dark. So it's symbolic, not an extra zodiac sign. So basically you got 12 signs times 2 halves, it equals 24 sections. And the ancients saw the sky as a 24-hour celestial clock. So to the ancestors, you got 12 constellations representing the zodiac, but it's 2 halves, and each sign experiences a rising/active/light phase and a setting/resting/dark phase. And the result is 24 divisions, which equals to 24 hours. So a visual way you can see this is if you can imagine a pizza with 12 slices, but if you cut each one of those 12 slices in half and have a left and a right half to each slice. So each slice got a left half to it and a right side, or a blue side and a red side, but it's one slice, but it's cut into 2 halves to represent this duality of night and day, or a daytime expression on the left and a nighttime expression on the right. So you now have 24 slices matching the 24 hours in a day. And it is said that the ancients did this because they symbolized each zodiac sign as ruling 2 hours every day. 1 hour in the day cycle and 1 hour in the night cycle. That's why the Babylonian and Egyptian star clocks have 24 quote unquote decan markers around the wheel. So the most important point from this is that there isn't 24 zodiac signs, it's 12 zodiac signs. The 12 sign zodiac wheel is the base, and day versus night creates a 24-hour cycle using the same geometry. So of course, in the final verdict with this segment, the ancient 360 system fits the 24-hour day perfectly. And we dealing with pure geometry. The globe model 365.24 days doesn't fit this perfectly. It requires fractional corrections and leap year adjustments. So, which system is responsible for creating the hour, minute, second structure that we still use today? That goes to, you know it, the ancient 360 system that is based on the base 60 sexagesimal math. So in conclusion, the 24-hour time system belongs fundamentally to the Babylonian 360-degree circular cosmology and other ancient cosmologies that was based on this. The sun's path was measured as a perfect 360-degree circle. Each hour represents 15 degrees of solar travel. The modern globe system inherited that Babylonian geometry, but cannot fully preserve its perfect ratios because of its 365.24-day orbital math and fractional day rotations. So, the 24-hour day aligns naturally and symbolically with the ancient 360 system's circular time models, not the heliocentric globe model. If the globe earthers are saying that the 365-day model debunks the 360-day model and the 360-degree systems, then the question I would ask then, why didn't they change all of their math? Why didn't we change from that system? Think about it. If someone is telling you your system is flawed, it doesn't work, my system is the answer, then don't you think they would abandon the system that they just debunked? Because if they're saying that no, the 360-degree system is wrong, then why do we still base everything off that system today? I think this next bit of information will answer that for you. Let's get into it now. So the 360-degree system comes mainly from the ancient Babylonian astronomy, not modern physics. Again, the Babylonians used the base 60 sexagesimal counting system, and they divided the circle into 360 parts because the sun moves about 1 degree per day across the sky in a year. When applied to the globe Earth, the Earth rotates 360 degrees on its axis in 24 hours, which will equate to 15 degrees per hour. And this is how time zones work on the globe model. Each 15 degree of longitude will equal 1 hour of rotation. So latitude and longitude, these two form the 360-degree spherical coordinate system, with longitude running from 0 degrees to 360 degrees around the equator, and latitude running from 0 degrees to 90 degrees north and south. And this system would be used for navigation, allowing us to map any point on the globe, sort of like a 3D grid around a sphere. Now, this is very interesting, the idea of a grid and using degrees on a sphere is kind of something we shouldn't do, and you'll see why in a minute. In physics, 360 degrees is used for rotational motion and angular displacement. 1 full rotation equals 360 degrees, but since degrees is applicable for a circle and not a sphere, they basically translate the 360 degrees to 2 pi radians, like we mentioned at the beginning of the video. And they basically use this in orbital mechanics, and they use it in formulas for rotational energy, torque, angular velocity, and etc. However, modern physics prefers radians because they relate directly to arc length. So degrees are mainly a convenient human convention dealing with the globular model. Now, when we talk about the ancient versus the modern connection, the 360-degree system was later merged with spherical Earth models by Greek astronomers like Hipparchus and Ptolemy, who applied it to celestial spheres. So while modern science didn't discover the 360 degrees, basically modern science inherited the 360-degree concept that they use for their Earth's rotation. They inherited it from ancient sky watchers who noticed the cyclical motion of the heavens. Ptolemy never proved that the Earth was rotating. He just stole or plagiarized or adopted the data from ancient sky watchers or the ancient 360 system and applied it to the globe, but it doesn't fit properly. That's what we've been proving this entire video, and we're about to prove it more. Degrees, again, they are not applicable to a sphere. We're going to break it down step by step so you can see how degrees and radians each work, and why science favors radians, especially for modeling a sphere, while degrees fit more naturally into ancient flat plane sky mapping. So first of all, what is a degree? A degree is a human-made division of a circle into 360 equal parts. That's very important. Equal parts. Because that circle wouldn't have equal parts according to what we learn in the heliocentric model. It's not perfect. So when we deal with degrees, 360 degrees equals 1 full rotation, which is basically a circle. This system is based upon Babylonian base 60 counting, which cannot be applied to the globe. So again, using degrees wouldn't be accurate dealing with the globe concept. And this system is what we use for navigation, star charts, maps, religious calendars, you name it. Even to this day, we still use this system. So what is a radian? A radian is a mathematically pure unit based on the geometry of a circle. It measures the length of the arc relative to the radius. So 1 radian equals the angle that cuts an arc equal in length to the radius. Because radians directly tie to the radius of Earth to arc length, they make spherical calculations simpler and more exact. 15 degrees per hour with a 24-hour day will always equal to 360, not 365. How we observe the sky, you could compare it like a person walking around in circles on a merry-go-round that's turning. Now, the person that's walking around the circle on a merry-go-round, that's like the sun giving us 24 hours every day. But the merry-go-round itself, that's the celestial wheel. That's like where the sun is in relation to the backdrop of the stars that's turning. So it takes 360 days for the sun to get back to where it started from based upon the background, the zodiacal background. So that would be like the longer, slower cycle. Whereas every day, the sun is doing this around the earth, 24 hours. But the sky wheel is doing its own slower turn, and that's what's taking a full year versus the 24 hours. So basically with this ancient model, the sun, of course, moves above the plane rather than around it, and the observer's daylight depend on which triangle the sun is above. When the sun crosses from 115 degree division to the next, that's basically 1 hour of solar time, the same rhythm that the Babylonians used when observing the sun's daily circuit. Now, everything I just said may seem like a bunch of data, but the reason we went over that is so that we can explain how the Zodiac Wheel apply to the globe model versus the ancient model and the ancestors who actually created the wheel. Now, we all use the Zodiac Wheel today. It is 360 degrees. It is very accurate. We didn't change anything. Now, the people who created the Zodiac Wheel that we all use today were flat earthers. And the crazy thing about it is, like I said earlier, what the Ptolemies and the Freemasons and what the globe earthers did when they rose up with the church, they basically said, your model is wrong, your model is inaccurate, our model is right. Debate's over, you lose. And at the end of the debate, they said, but we would like to keep all of your data though. What? The only thing we changing is that the earth is a sphere and that the earth is actually moving. And they changed it from 360 days to 365. But if you pay attention to all of those changes that they did, and you can't make it make sense without picking and biting from that ancient 360 system. Now, the ancient 360 system standalone is flawless. It don't need to bite from any of the Greeks or the Ptolemies. But the new system got to bite its whole foundation from the ancient system, and everything that it alters and changes, it doesn't even apply to direct human experience. The Zodiac Wheel was built on the idea that the sky wheel and that the heavens is rotating in a full 360-degree circle, a perfect one. So the Zodiac Wheel that we use today is based upon this ancient 360-degree system. The ancients viewed the heavens as a celestial dome rotating around a stationary earth. So we still use this same system today. And again, the 12 months would all be 30 days each, giving us a perfect 360 to represent this the rotation of the dome. The Zodiac Wheel wasn't originally designed for a heliocentric globe, which is why there's so many problems that I'm pointing out here. It came from flat sky geocentric cosmology. First of all, the Zodiac Wheel predates the globe itself by hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. The Zodiac Wheel is very, very ancient. And basically what Ptolemy did when he came to Egypt, he took all of that ancient sky map data and he superimposed it over a globe, and that's how you get the celestial sphere. In the heliocentric model, the zodiac is reinterpreted as the Earth's orbital path around the sun, the ecliptic. Instead of the stars moving, it's said that the Earth moves around the sun, and the sun appears to pass through different constellations over the year. The constellations still make a 360-degree circle, but the geometry is reversed. The observer moves, not the stars. So this model projects the ancient flat sky system onto an orbital plane, essentially mathematically preserving the zodiac, but philosophically inverting its meaning. Now, the problem when you do that, you can make this thing still work mathematically if you move the observer. But when I say mathematically, this would be a theoretical explanation that you will find in orbital mechanics to explain what we observe on the globe model. But the problem with this explanation is that the 365-day year, which is synonymous with their globe model, is where it all falls apart, because the sky wheel makes a perfect 360-degree circle. And if each day is a degree, you can't use the foundation of 360 but say that a year is 365 days, because a circle isn't 365 degrees. They got irregular fractions and all kind of stuff. Remember that these same Greeks lost track of time for about 500 years. So a lot of how we even see time today on a calendar is based upon mistakes that the Greeks made. No one kept time more accurately than the ancients and the people who gave us the 360 systems. So which model fits the zodiac wheel better? Of course, the ancient 360, because those are the people who gave us the zodiac wheel. Imagine how egotistical the Ptolemies was when they showed up in the ancestral lands. They were introduced to a lot of these concepts by the ancestors, and they corrupted all of them. So the zodiac wheel matches perfectly with a stationary Earth and a rotating sky dome, of course. The global is reinterpreted this centuries later And what's so crazy about it, when we talk about astrotheology and Jesus Christ and the 12 disciples, it is representing these 12 zodiac sectors, which all revolve around Polaris, which is the North Pole god, Jesus Christ. Santa is center. So they personified the North Pole as an archetype that you call Christ. Astrotheology. None of this stuff was meant to be taken literally. It was personifying the motion of the heavens by the people who studied the stars more than all of us. They turned the motion of these celestial bodies into characters and mythological scripts to teach this to children. If the children start believing the stories literally, what happens is world religion is born, with people believing in fairy tales and stories, not knowing the deeper symbolic meaning behind none of them. And by the way, your belief in the globe earth is a religion too. A religion is just a belief system. You believe they went to space. You believe they took pictures of the earth. So in conclusion, the Zodiac Wheel aligns more naturally with the ancients model because it is based on observation from a fixed earth. It is based upon observation from a fixed earth, not a moving one. In the globe model, the zodiac is reinterpreted symbolically, but no longer matches the original cosmological layout. It becomes a mathematical artifact rather than a living sky map. So the perfection of creation is hidden from us every day, just by us not seeing this divine 360, because the foundation of everything they teach us is shaken once we bring up intelligent design, and that's literally what this perfect system proposes. Once you make the year 365.24 days and not 360, and the sun's apparent motion along the ecliptic will now be 0.986 degrees per day and not exactly 1 degree, we move from a perfect 360-day circular system, and spherical geometry basically introduces irregularities, and the orbits are no longer circular. They become elliptical, and day length now varies because of Earth's axial tilt and curvature. In spherical geometry, 360 degrees is retained as mathematical convenience, but it's no longer directly tied to the sun's daily movement. It's now just an arbitrary division of a sphere into angular degrees. The word arbitrary means based on random choice or personal whim, rather than any reason or system. Mathematical convenience. So in spherical geometry, a degree of arc does not represent equal area or distance everywhere on the globe. Near the equator, 1 degree of longitude equals 69 miles. Near the poles, it shrinks towards 0 degrees. Latitude and longitude form a grid on a sphere, not equal circular divisions. This means that the Babylonian circle, a 2D system, and the modern sphere, a 3D system, don't map perfectly. That's a problem, because this is exactly what Ptolemy tried to do. He tried to map them. And of course, they don't map perfectly, which is why I'm able to point out all of these imperfections in this video. The reason this whole thing fall apart is because the 360 degrees is simply a projection of the ancient circle onto the spherical coordinate system. And the 360 degrees is how many degrees are in a circle. A sphere is not made up of 360 degrees. The Babylonian 360 degree system still fits direct human experience, hands down. The 365-day globe model fits calculated celestial mechanics. We're talking computer animations and hypotheticals and theories, not direct observation, but inferred motion of a spherical Earth around the sun. And basically, if you wrap the sky around a sphere, the zodiac's circular division becomes distorted. So basically, different hemispheres would see different zodiacs in their sky. You would basically need two wheels, one for the northern sky, one for the southern. The 12 sign 360-degree system no longer fits cleanly because the sky would have to quote unquote wrap around the ball, breaking the unity of a single ecliptic plane as seen from a fixed point on a flat plane. Even today, every horoscope chart, natal chart, whether tropical or sidereal, is plotted as a flat 360-degree wheel, not as a 3D sphere divided into two hemispheric zodiacs. That alone shows that our predictive systems still run on the geometry that supported the ancient 360-degree systems, not spherical physics. For thousands of years, ancient civilizations from Babylon and Kemet to Vedic and Mayan operated under a perfect 360-degree system. This wasn't just a way to measure circles or time, it was a reflection of divine order. When secret societies like the Freemasons and Royal Society rose to power in Europe, they introduced a new way of measuring time and reality. The 360-day sacred circle was replaced by a 365-day globe model, breaking humanity's alignment with the ancient cosmological order. Under the Freemasons' influence, men like Copernicus, Galileo, and Isaac Newton became the public faces of a hidden agenda to detach mankind from the truth described in ancient systems and replace it with the spinning ball orbiting the sun. Isaac Newton was a man who was deeply immersed in mysticism and steeped in Masonic symbolism. He helped construct the mathematical framework that gave rise to heliocentrism, a system that distorts the true harmony of the heavens into chaos. By the 20th century, that same secret brotherhood had extended its reach into modern science. Many of NASA's top officials and astronauts, including Buzz Aldrin, Gordon Cooper, John Glenn, and several others, were openly documented Freemasons. Even Tranquility Lodge number 2000, which is nicknamed the Masonic Lodge on the Moon, which is somewhere we never went, it was chartered by the Grand Lodge of Texas to honor their supposed lunar landing. Out of roughly only 300 to 340 NASA astronauts, most of them are confirmed Freemasons, and many others worked under Masonic leadership. The symbolism is undeniable. Square and compass patches, sun worship rituals, and constant references to light and enlightenment. So what really happened? When humanity abandoned the 360-degree sacred system for the 360-day globe calendar, we lost connection with the original cosmic rhythm. The Freemasonic globe system redefined the heavens as infinite chaos, not a designed, measurable creation. Their model turned the ancient, orderly 360-degree system into a random spinning sphere and made man believe he was just another accident in space. But the ancients knew better. The 360-degree system was the true language of nature. Every circle, every clock, every compass, every zodiac, all built upon that same divine code. The modern 365-day globe model only exists to distort it, to confuse man's understanding of time and direction, and to keep us ignorant for purposes of control, fueling planetary defense budgets, global institutions, and the illusion of a hostile universe that demands constant funding and obedience. It was never about science. It was about control. It was about keeping humanity blind while indoctrinating us with a system built on fear, not fact. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and drop a comment below. It's free and it helps the channel so much. Now, before you go, I do have a question for y'all. Do you think that the ancient 360-degree system explains our reality better than the modern 365-day model, and why?